All right, so on April 9th, no, hell, I don't remember. The beginning of April, right? I go for my yearly checkup with my regular doctor. I told her that I had been hurting, right? Like I'd been having some weird pain, kind of like around like my waist, kind of off to the side. But I kind of kept putting it off because I was like, maybe it's gas. But after a while, it got to a point where, people were like, you need to have that looked at. So, okay, cool. So now she doesn't do any kind of checking herself. She's like confirming, thinking, oh, yeah, it might be a hernia, right? Well, she just referred me for an ultrasound to try to see, if that could find what it is. So I go for the ultrasound. I was supposed to go into work Tuesday night, but I go Tuesday morning for the ultrasound. Kind of odd. So a girl close to my age, and I'm in there, getting the ultrasound. But anyway, knock that out. Well, I'm on my way home. It's like 2 o'clock. I normally leave for work at like 4:30, right? I'm almost home, and bam, a lady hits the side of my car. So I pull off because I knew it wasn't bad, right? Like it's like it was just a little, and I'm like, are you serious? But I don't want to block because I kind of swerved into it's just a little 2-lane road, right? And I kind of went to the side into the other lane to try to avoid her. So, but when she hit, I was like, I knew it wasn't bad. And I'm not getting out on this busy street and take a chance on getting run over. And I'm also now holding up both lanes of traffic on a very busy road. So I'm like, let me just pull off to the side, right? So I just right into a driveway. And I'm sitting there and I park and I'm sitting here, I'm looking at her, she's looking at me, and then she just drives off. I said, ain't this about it? But I've never been in an accident before, so I was like, I'm not thinking. I'm kind of bamboozled. I'm already like dealing with the other craziness, and that's on my mind, and then now this, and I'm by myself, and like I'm bamboozled. So I sit there for a minute, and I'm like, what the fuck? So I call the police. Cool. I tell them what happened. Did you get the license plate? I'm like, well, no, I didn't get the license plate. What you want me to do? Chase after? You can't chase after people nowadays. People have guns. I'm not chasing after nobody, especially a car like that. It was a blacked out BMW from Texas. I know there's a gun in that car. I'm not chasing them. Not over some little petty stuff like that. Now, if she'd have knocked my bumper off, I might would have chased her. It's neither here nor there. Uh, so I go I get out of the driveway because I had just pulled right in the driveway, and I'm like, if somebody was to turn in, they might hit me. So I just pull off and put into the parking spot, and I sit and I wait on the police. About 30 minutes go by. I'm getting like, okay, look, like I'm still trying to make it to work tonight, and I need to still go home and get something to eat, and I'd like to kind of chill out for just a second before I go work this 12-hour night shift. But finally, I see the state trooper car pull in, and it's all tinted. I can't see in it. But then the door opens, and I hear, "Oh man!" And I look, and it's my old coworker, and he trained me like back when I first started at this job, and we connected because we're both from the same place. And so I was like, man, don't tell me they sent you. And so anyway, we start cutting up and everything because we hadn't seen each other in a while. And so that kind of made that situation better. But anyway, he did what he had to do. We got serious for a second. He did his job and everything, and then I go on. Whoop de doo. What you gonna do about it? I can't sit there and roll around in the grass and be fighting mad over it. It's a little bitty baby dent that you can see when the sun hits it just right. If she'd have stopped, I'd have. Now I've had people tell me, no, you wouldn't have, but I really genuinely feel like if she'd have stopped and we'd have talked about it, I probably would have just let her go. I'm not going to get insurance companies involved and do all this craziness over no more damage than it is. And I can put a picture in here so y'all can see. But it's what she drove off, and that's what really kind of pissed me off. It's like, why pull over and stop? I mean, it was an accident. Pull over and talk to me, and everything would have been cool. But neither here nor there. So I come home, go to work that night. I get off. I come home, go to sleep. Normally I wake up about 3 o'clock. Well, I think it was like 1:30. Phone starts ringing. I answer. It's the doctor's office. I just wanted to let you know your ultrasound results are in. They did find a large inguinal hernia. I'm like, okay. I'm like, so what? Not you. I'm like, so what does that mean? What are the next steps here? And she's like, well, we're gonna have to. We want to do a little bit further, another test, like to see, to make sure. So I'm gonna set you up with a surgeon, set up an appointment with him, and I'll set you up for a CT scan to go, just to have something else to verify. Great. Tell me what I need to do. In the meantime, do not lift anything heavy, anything over 15 pounds, this, that, and the third. All the things that they tell you don't do when you have a hernia because they don't want it to be worse, because they were thinking that it was a large portion of like one of my intestines pushing through, right? And so naturally, you don't want it to push through. They're explaining it like, don't do anything crazy. They said, even though you've had it this long, now that you know what it is, you probably need to watch, because if it pushes through and it doesn't come back, and the piece of your intestine dies, you got serious problems, and it has to be fixed like instantly. So they're like, take it easy. Great, I get that. Here's where I shot myself in the foot, or so I thought at the time. I called my work. I called HR and I told them, I was like, hey, look, I just want to know, what do I need to do to get set up on like FMLA? Because I was like, okay, I know that there's going to be more doctor's appointments and things. I'll probably end up having surgery. I'll need some time off. What can I do to get set up on this so that I'm not burning through all of my PTO and whatnot? Well, I sent that in an email because I couldn't get them to answer the phone. That phone rings about an hour later. And it's HR. He goes, hey, bud, I seen your email. So you can't come back to work until you get that taken care of, right? Sorry, what? What you mean I can't come back to work with no notice? So anyway, I sit there and I try to argue with him, right? I'm like, but I can work. Like, this has been going on for this long, and like, I can work. I just, maybe if we could accommodate, like, because at work I have an assistant, right? So I'm the loader and there's a loader's assistant. I was like, the worst part of my job is like lifting these. It's a big like 50-pound bag of this like powdery chemical, right? That you got to pour in a tank and it mixes and do all of this, and then we put it right. So anyway, I was like, but the assistant could just go do that, and then otherwise the worst part of my job is holding a stick. And I was like, the stick don't weigh 15 pounds, So, but he's like, no, he said it's a safety thing. He said, because we do work, remote location. If something happens, that becomes our problem. And now we got to pay for a helicopter to get you out of here and all this, that, and the third. And I get it. It's the liability. They don't want that on their head. I get it. But you also have to get where I'm coming from too. It's like, okay, last minute, no notice, I can't come back to work. What about my paycheck? Because the bills don't give a flying flip that I got a medical issue going on. The bill's still going to show up and be taken out at the same time. So anyway, he's like, but don't worry. He said, with this kind of thing, we can set you up on short-term disability. I'm like, tell me more. And so he did, and he's told me, what all I needed to do, and he's like, now I'm gonna warn you, it's a process. It's just like dealing with the insurance company. You got to give them what they want for them to give you what you want. Cool. So we do all that, right? Get off the phone, and I'm sitting there, and I'm just kind of like, well, I've just been told basically, it's like kind of one of those that sound on TikTok. I don't know what I'm gonna do tomorrow. How exciting, you know? But at the same time, it wasn't exciting. It was kind of one of those moments of like, well, dang, I ain't got nothing to do now. But how not exciting because it's like, I ain't got a paycheck coming either. But anyway, so I call Alex, my partner, boyfriend, husband, however you want to classify it. Practically husband, been together long enough now. And I tell him, what has happened, and it's like, kind of it was one of those serious conversations, but it was not like, it's not a big deal because, I mean, we have money saved. He has a job making good money. I'm still gonna get some kind of check from disability to pay the bills. We're not at risk of anything. It's just it's gonna be like we can't go do all the extra. There's no extra money if in this situation. But anyway, we know we're gonna make it. We've made it through worse. It's okay. So they scheduled my CT scan. This happened on a Wednesday. They scheduled the CT for Friday, I think. No. I'm sorry. She told me they would call to schedule, right? So this was on Wednesday. Well, come Friday morning, I'm sitting there, I'm thinking, I'm like, I haven't heard from anybody. Well, then boom, phone starts ringing. And they're like, hey, they want y'all to do a CT scan. When can you come in? I'm like, well, I don't have work anymore, so I'm free whenever you want me. She's like, well, we could do this afternoon. She's like, but I'm not sure, if your insurance company will get back in time. She said, but I can put you down just in case. So I'm like, okay, cool. Well, it was gonna be scheduled, I think, for like 1 o'clock. I think it was, or 2. Anyway, 1 or 2. So at 12 o'clock, I've not heard anything, and I'm like, let me call just in case, so I don't waste my time driving all the way to the other side of town and get over there and find out, hey, y'all, what the hell was that? Oh, sorry. And get over there and find out they don't need me today. So I call. Mind you, when she set this up, she's like, there's no prep work needed. She went to ask me, she was like, are you allergic to iodine? She was like, well, actually that doesn't matter because we won't be doing that. So scratch that, never mind. Well, when I call, I said, hey, I explained to the guy on the phone, I said, look, we just scheduled it this morning. I just want to make sure it's actually still good. If the insurance company got back with it. Well, he was rude. He felt the need to say, well, I guess if you haven't heard from us, then you're probably good, huh? I didn't ask for that. I did not ask for that. I just asked to confirm before I waste my gas. Because my time and my gas is just as precious as your time and your gas. So, neither here nor there. So then he proceeds to say, okay, well, yeah, I see you've got an appointment. It's good. We got what we need. There's no prep. Just make sure you don't eat for 4 hours before. Well, the first lady didn't tell me that. But it just so happened to work out that I had not eaten at that point. It had been 4 hours. So I was like, okay, well, that just so happened to work out. That's good. But I did tell him, I was like, she didn't tell me that. But anyway, so I go up there. I'm checking in at the counter. And the lady's like, and I do have a little special drink for you. And I'm like, what do you mean you have a little special drink for me? She goes, it's just a iodine, and she's, downplayed it. It's just this little drink. It just kind of tastes like a Gatorade type thing, I just need you to drink it and all of that. And I'm like, well, they told me there was no prep. She goes, oh. She said, well, you're not allergic to iodine, are you? I said, I don't know. I said, I've never done this. So anyway, I say all that to say there was the miscommunication of, now this is 3 different people telling me 3 different things. First person says there's nothing at all. Second person says just don't eat for 4 hours, but otherwise nothing. Now this person's making sure, hey, I hope you didn't eat for 4 hours and I need you to drink this iodine. Ooh, y'all don't communicate with each other in the office? Neither here nor there. She handed it to me. I drank it. I've never done it before. She didn't give me instructions. I gulped it down like I was taking a shot, What, am I supposed to sit there and enjoy it? Like I'm sipping on whiskey or something? So as soon as I finish it, they're calling me back. Now I'm back there within 10 minutes of finishing that drink. I'm back there laying in the machine. Here's what that's a key note right there. Pay attention to that. 10 minutes after I finished that, I was back there in that machine. So cool. I'm laying there. I do my thing. You know. Mm, mm. We're done. I go home. I get a phone call Monday. Actually, no. It wasn't even a phone call. It was literally just a text on the app, and it said, "Great news! The CT scan came back clear. You may return to work." Mind you, at this point, I've done started a whole disability claim. Work done, told me I can't come back, and they done started filling in shifts. I done moved around vacation and stuff that I had scheduled to cover the 5 day gap period in the disability. Like all of this stuff, we've done changed all kind of stuff, done screwed up all kind of plans, and then all of a sudden just a text, "Hey, never mind, we didn't find none. You're good to go back to work." So now I'm like in a panic, right? I'm like, how do you find a large hernia in the ultrasound, and then the CT scan comes back with nothing on it, and you just say, "Go back to work"? That didn't sit right with me. So she asked, she said, would you like me to cancel your appointment with the surgeon for you, or would you still like to go to that?" I said, no, you don't cancel that. I'm going to that. I'm going to go get my second opinion because this doesn't sit right with me. So, cool. We let that goes on, right? The appointment with the surgeon was sometime later in that week, I think. And I start researching, curious mind. I'm like, why would a hernia show up on an ultrasound and not a CT scan? And I fall down this rabbit hole. And all these people like on Reddit saying that they had the same scenario. Ultrasound found a hernia, CT scan didn't. And then I find doctors and things talking about a CT scan is not as good as at finding hernias as like an MRI or these other things and all of that. And I'm like, what the hell? And then I start seeing that when you drink the iodine stuff, you're supposed to wait like 30 minutes to an hour before you go in the machine for it to have time to get through your body. So I'm like, okay, I'm putting two and two together here. I'm like, okay, I drank that. 10 minutes later, I'm in the machine. That iodine didn't have any time to do what it needed to do. So that they screwed up on that. And then CT scan clearly is not the best at finding this. They screwed up on that. And my doctor's not even thinking twice to go, found it on one, didn't find it on the other. Nobody's done a physical exam for it, when they, the look that direction and cough kind of exam looking for it. Nobody's done this at this point. It's just the MRI and the CT. So I'm like, don't sit right. So I meet with the surgeon. He sits down. He says, "So you got a hernia, huh?" I said, "Well, I don't know." And he kind of chuckled. He said, "What do you mean?" And I explained this whole situation. He goes, "Yeah." He says, "CT scans aren't really good at finding hernias." Well, why did I go get one? Why did I waste my time and money going and getting one? Neither here nor there. I told him, I said, "Well, the lady," I said, "my doctor has not done a physical exam," because he asked me, he said, "Can you see it?" He said, "Can you see it? Have you felt it?" I said, "No, I can't personally." I said, "And nobody's done an exam." And so, he was like, "Well, come see." So he does an actual physical exam to find it. He found it instantly. He goes, "Huh, yeah, it's right there." He said, "Look, you can see it." And I'm looking and I'm like, I don't know what I'm seeing. But I guess maybe I've had it for so long that I just didn't notice or didn't, whatever. So he explains to me, he's like, "Well, with a hernia like that, you could leave it, completely untouched forever and maybe never have a problem with it. Or you could have a problem with it." He said it's kind of one of those things. He said, because just as risky as it is to leave it for the chance of something might happen, you have that same risk that something might happen when you have surgery, because surgery is always risky, anytime you go under anesthesia and stuff. But I'm like, well, let's get it taken care of. I said, because I can't go back to work until it's taken care of. or, you know, which, mind you, I should say that both my regular doctor and the surgeon are like, we're not telling you can't go back to work. We're just telling you got to be, that you got to be mindful. And I'm like, yeah, I get that y'all aren't telling me. I said, but work's telling me I can't work. And the surgeon was the one that actually understood. He was like, yeah, I get guys in here all the time that like work offshore or do something like that, and they can't. They have the same situation. So he's like, I get it. So I told him, I said, well, look, I'm on my dad's insurance. I'm off. Let's just get it taken care of, especially while I'm young. So cool. We'll get that scheduled, and it's a few weeks out, and so I'm just off. I'm just off and nothing to do. Excuse me. So at first, like I said, I felt like I shot myself in the foot, but then I started to embrace it because we had a festival that I never really get to go to. I normally take off 2 days, but I never get to enjoy the full experience. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna enjoy that because they said I can't lift anything. They didn't say I couldn't lift the can, and drink, or the fork and enjoy that good food, or listen to the music. So I'm gonna go enjoy the festival. I'm off, whatever, right? So I go in and do that, and I start, just kind of enjoying like being off and just kind of taking it as God saying, "Hey, look, here's you a break. Here's you probably the longest vacation you're ever gonna get with pay." And so, cool. I do all that, right? Well, this past week, Monday, I went in for my surgery, and I'm naturally nervous as anybody would be. But so now here, it might get TMI, and if it is, scroll. I don't care. But so they told me in all like the pre paperwork and everything, they like don't shave nothing, don't do anything special. Just make sure you wash with the special antibacterial soap before you come in. Okay, cool, cool. I'm thinking, they'll take a little razor and they'll just shave right where they're gonna make an incision. So I go in and I get called to the back, and the lady comes in. She goes, "Here's your gown. Here's a pack of like basically Clorox wipes, right?" And she goes, "Take off everything, but you can leave your socks on, and wipe down your whole body with the Clorox wipes, basically." And she was like, use a new one for each, do your arms and use a new one for your chest, all this, right? And I'm like, okay. And then she goes, and leave. Don't worry about tying it, because then I'm gonna come in and do your back. And I'm like, okay. Now look, I don't care about stuff like that, but it's just a little odd. So, anyway, she comes in and she's like, "You can go ahead, you can lay down, and she does my back and whatnot." And then I turn over, and this little sweet older black lady comes in, and I mean, she gives you that comfort of like a grandma would. And so she comes in and she's like, "All right, baby, lift up. I gotta shave you." You gotta do what? What you gotta do? This sweet old lady shaves everything from my belly button down to like where my underwear would sit, like your boxer briefs, how far down they go, everything. Again, it's not a big deal, and I know that they see that on a daily basis. That's just another day for them. But it's just the awkwardness of like, why y'all didn't just tell me to do that if that's what y'all were gonna do, and then y'all could just check. Okay, yeah, it's good to go. And I'm sure they have their reasons, but neither here nor there. Be prepared for that if you ever have to get this done. So, and I'm sitting here thinking, people been talking my head up. Oh, you're gonna get that big needle for the anesthesia and stuff. She brings out the little bitty baby needle. She goes in like right here. But first, she did one little needle, and it had like local anesthesia in it. And when she said that she was gonna do that, I looked at her and said, "How big is this needle for you to need to do anesthesia beforehand?" And she goes, and she showed me, it was a little bitty. I said, "Oh Lord." And I told her, I said, I thought you was about to stick me with an elephant needle or something for it to need anesthesia. She goes, no, no. She said, I don't have to. She said, but I just, we do that because it does help. And I'm like, go ahead, by all means. So she does it. And like instantly, she was like, big stick. But then immediately, couldn't feel nothing. I'm like, great. She goes, all right, I'm about to do it. And she's counting down 1, 2, 3. And I don't feel nothing. I look over at it and I'm like, did you do it? Sure enough, it's in my arm. Cool, that was easy, right? So they hook me up, and then they allow Alex to come back after everything's settled while I'm just sitting there waiting. So they take me back, knock my ass out, gone. Don't remember anything. So wake up, I'm freezing. I think I'm having a seizure. How bad I am shaking in that little recovery bed. Excuse me. So I'm laying there, and I'm like, I'm cold. And the nurse is like, oh, yeah, baby, let me get you another blanket. I said, that ain't gonna cut it. So she brings in this little heater with a tube on it and sticks it up under them sheets. Ooh, I thought I was in heaven. That thing felt so good. So she asked me, she said, are you ready for your partner to come back? I'm like, give me another minute. I gotta come alive. So we wait, and I'm just laying there, shivering to death. And finally, she asked me again. I said, yeah, he can come back. So he comes back, talk to him, kind of halfway. We sit there for a minute. And finally, she goes, well, whenever you're ready, you can leave. And I'm like, well, I guess let's go. So get up. Alex helps me get dressed. They bring me a little wheelchair. They roll me out. I'm just like, the whole time. But I'm still kind of high on the stuff. So I don't really, it hadn't really set in, right? So Alex brings the car around. We get in the car. And mind you, the hospital's not far away. But in that short drive, I'm like, thinking I'm about to throw up and stuff. But I don't. We make it home. I got the heated seat on and the heater on and everything. We get home, get in the house, go straight to the bed. By the time I got to that bed, it was over. There was no functioning left. I lay down, and I'm just sitting there. I'm like, oh my God. And it hurts. And it's the worst pain. But it's the gas. It wasn't even the what they worked on. It was the gas pain from them. They got to blow you up. It was laparoscopic, right? So they got to blow you up. And it was the gas pain that was hurting so bad. And it was stuck like in this shoulder and then right under my ribs on my right side. I don't know why it was on that side and stuck the way it was. But it was bad. So cool. Finally getting to bed. I had Alex bring, cause I look like a Oompa Loompa from the whatever that betadine or whatever it is that they use to like sanitize you before they cut on you. So I'm orange from here down, and so I was like, bring that pad. We have like a waterproof pad. I guess like you put under like a baby or something. It's like a hospital pad type thing. Puppy pad for humans. Anyway, I had him bring that and the heated blanket. And so I'm just laying there and I'm just can't do nothing. I found my phone, now I'm okay. All I can do is I can scroll. That's about all I can do. And so Alex, taking care of me. We had gotten canes that night before. And so he brings me the leftover canes. He air fried. He brought it to me. Because they had told me, they were like, eat a light meal. And I'm like, eat a chicken finger and some fries. Gotcha. Because that's what I wanted. I'm starving to death. Because they told me, don't eat nothing after midnight. And don't drink nothing either. So, like, at this point, I need some sweet sustenance, So, I eat that. And I got out of bed like 3 times that afternoon. All just to go, use the restroom. From the IVs, that IV is the most hydrated I've ever been, but boy, does it make you have to go. But anyway, all 3 times of getting up, I'm up and I am just the whole time, right, trying to use the bathroom. And getting back in the bed was the absolute worst. Because when I'd stand up, all that gas would move and it'd get trapped in between both shoulders. And I mean, it would hurt. And then that shaking would not help matters because now I'm shaking and my body's tensing and it's hurting all of the incision and everything. But then when you lay back down and everything would transfer back under them ribs, talk about hurt. Lord bless it, talk about hurt. But we made it. Tuesday morning, I was able to get up. Because I got up Tuesday morning, like 4 o'clock in the morning by myself for the first time getting up by myself. Because I had to have Alex help me. He, would grab my hand and put a arm behind me and kind of help me pick up. Because I couldn't, use the muscles to sit up like that. But Tuesday morning about 4 o'clock, I was able to get up by myself and go use the restroom. Albeit it was hell to get from there to there and do what I had to do and get back. But I made it. So Tuesday morning after Alex got up, I was like, yeah, I think I'm going to try to get up and move around. And Alex had washed our robes the night before. So I put that on so I'd kind of be warm because I was still worried about freezing to death. So I put that on and I make it in the living room and, I'm moving real slow like a grandpa. But I made it. And he set up my pillows on the couch so I could sit up because I couldn't like sit straight up. Like even now it kind of hurts to sit straight up like this. But I could kind of sit back like I'm doing now. So he set the pillows up and I was able to sit on the couch and, that's kind of where I stayed. Tuesday just slowly got better. Tuesday afternoon I was able to shower. And then, Wednesday getting around better. Thursday, it just each day kind of progressing. Right. And so now, come Monday, I had a dentist appointment and a haircut. And I'm feeling good. I'm thinking I'm good. Well, I guess I maybe did too much. Now, I've been mindful, of what I'm doing because they're like, you can't lift anything over 15 pounds for 4 weeks, right? And I've been mindful, but I feel useless, When you are so used to constantly going and doing and, there's always something to clean or like, whatever it may be, and then you can't do anything, it makes you feel some type of way. You just feel useless. And I know, I know that nobody's expecting me to do any of those things right now. But it's my own brain that's like, bro, you're a lazy bum. You ain't moved off this couch scrolling on TikTok or playing your game for a week now. Like my brain's saying you need to get up, you need to be productive. But I know I need to rest. And like I missed my little cousin's graduation, high school graduation Monday. And I missed that. And I felt so bad. I would have loved to have been there. But it was outside I don't know why they did this outside. They didn't do that. She went to the same school I did. We did ours in Coliseum. We had air conditioning. They did theirs outside on the football field. But I just knew, I was like, I can't go ride in the car 3.5 hours and go home by myself. Go climb up the stairs at the stadium, sit out there in the heat on those uncomfortable bleachers and all that. I said, I just can't do it. So I missed that, but you don't realize what you can't do when you get told you can't lift that kind of weight. Like I can't even put clothes to wash because I can't lift a jug of soap. I can't go in there and cook something because we have enamel cast iron pots and pans. I can't lift those to be able to cook on and much less clean it afterwards in the sink. I can barely change I can barely change the water tank for our water filter, like all these things. So, but yeah, Monday I let the dog out. They're building houses around us, right? It's in a new neighborhood. And they put a roof on the house on the street behind us. And so like some trash, a little piece of plastic, I say little, it's the size of like a Walmart bag, had blown into the yard. And I didn't see it because it was way in the corner. But I let the dog out. Of course, she goes straight to it. She's a dude. She's got to be nosy and she's got to have whatever she finds. She goes straight to it. And sometimes I would let that dog just get away with it because she wants to act the ass when you try to take it from her. But I knew that piece was entirely too big for her to pass. So I was like, I got to get this from her, right? Well, immediately she goes into, she thinks I'm playing. Well, I guess I moved a little too quick trying to get her. I don't know if it was from that. I think it was from that because I kind of felt it then, or if it was just from me kind of thinking I could do more than I should, and kind of just a combination. I don't know. Excuse me, but now yesterday and today I have kind of felt like some pain again, but I'm not taking the pain medicine they gave me. They gave me hydrocodones, and I'm not taking that. Unless I needed it. If I needed it, I would have took it. But the only thing I've had is Tylenol, and I've not even had a lot of that. I've maybe had 10 in total throughout this whole time period. Because I don't like to take medicine, much less pain medicine, unless I absolutely have to. So, but yeah, that's what I've been dealing with, and it's for anybody that might be going through it, they've had this same diagnosis, which I guess I should say what they found in the surgery. So after surgery, the surgeon came back to tell Alex that they did find a small hernia. It was smaller than they thought it was going to be, but it was a small hernia, so they were able to patch that up, and they found a small lipoma, which basically like a little fatty tumor cyst type thing, 1 in a million of a chance of, I don't know the actual numbers, but 1 in a million of a chance of it being anything serious. But they took it out, they sent it off for testing. I hadn't heard anything. I go tomorrow for a follow up, so I guess maybe if it is something, they might tell me tomorrow, but it's probably nothing. But it all went good, and I'm good now. It just, like I said, it's still a little bit of pain, but it's nothing for anybody going through it. It's nothing to be worried about. It's as simple as it can be. It's such a routine procedure. I mean, it's just like anything, though. It does have its risk. The first day's gonna be hell. I ain't gonna sit here and tell you that it won't. But after day one, you'll be back to being able to move around. It's gonna be 4 weeks before you can do anything like you normally would, lifting and whatnot. But embrace it. If your job gives you short-term disability or some kind of paid time off during that time, take it as a chance to, connect with family, because you can go and visit with people, or, if you're not a family person or whatever, take the time to work on something around your house, like not like physically work on something obviously, but like a project on the computer. Maybe build a website. I don't know, whatever you want to do. Brainstorm business ideas. Take online courses just to get some certifications or something. Or just sit around and be a lazy bum. I mean, it don't matter. Just take it as a vacation. It is what it is, And but yeah, so that's been the craziness. It's been nonstop since the beginning of April, but we're making it through it, and it is what it is. What are you gonna do about it? You gonna get upset? You gonna go roll around in the grass and beat the ground? No, you're gonna wake up each day and do what you got to do, and you're gonna get through it, and you're gonna figure it out. So, thank you for coming to my TED Talk. Stay tuned for updates. Peace.